This video is brought to you by Sairlite. Make your own grab rail covers to prolong the look of your boat's teak grab rails. Teak looks great when it's newly refinished, but give it a season or two in the sun and they will quickly look 20 years old. Make your own grab rail covers from Sunbrella marine grade fabric from Sairlite and keep them looking good for years. Watch this video for step-by-step instructions which will show you how to make custom-fitted handrail covers for your boat. Grab rail or handrail covers are easy to make yourself. First, take measurements of the length of the grab rail from end to end. Then measure over from the end to the edge of the first base of the handrail. This is the location where a webbing strap with snap will be installed. We want this webbing to be snug up against the base here, which will keep the cover from moving. Except for the two extreme ends, a webbing snap will be installed under each grab rail opening in the center. So take measurements along the tape measure at each center location and write them down on paper. To measure the width of the cover, use a flexible tape measure and measure over the rail to the deck. We will add a ½ inch to this measurement. Ours was 4 inches, so we will cut the width of our cover to 4½ inches. We have marked our Sunbrella marine grade fabric to size and will strike lines with a straight edge. To save on fabric, we will join several cut widths together to make our required length measurement. The required length should be the length of the grab rail plus at least 4 inches. We used a 60-inch wide Sunbrella fabric and we need our length to be at least 147 inches for us, so we will have to sew 3 panels together. The outside surfaces are facing each other. This Sunbrella fabric does not have a right or wrong side, so we don't have to worry about that. We will sew about a ½ inch away from the raw edges of the fabric, joining them together. Here we are sewing a semi-flat felled seam, which is a very strong seam and looks great from the outside. Unfold the fabric and sew about an 1/8 inch away from the splayed open seam of the fabric. Be sure you are sewing the ½ inch tail on the underside as you sew this top stitch. Then repeat the process, being sure the outside surfaces are facing each other. In other words, the finished seam will be on the correct side of the adjoining panels. After all the panels are sewn together, we will take a final measurement, which will be our desired length plus our extra 4 inches. Why the extra 4 inches? Well, because it's customary for the length of the fabric to shrink as the binding is sewn onto the sides. We like to have about 1 inch or more of fabric for every 10 feet of sewing for shrinkage. I know the 4 inches is more than enough to make that amount, but wouldn't it be better to have too much than too little? And also, we have to account for the extra inch, which will be used to sew up the ends of the cover. To finish the sides of the cover, we will install a 1-inch binding using the swing-away straight binder. As we sew the binding on one side of the cover, we will also feed a 1-inch polypropylene webbing into the binder on top of the fabric. This webbing will provide great reinforcement for the installation of snaps in a future step. Your only task is to feed the fabric consistently inside the opening of the binder and keep the webbing even with the raw edge of the fabric as you feed it. The binder will automatically fold the prefabricated 1-inch acrylic binding perfectly. Notice that as Angela sews and adjusts the assembly for the next run, she will bury the needle by rotating the balance wheel by hand to the thickest part of the shaft and make adjustments, then continue to sew. The next step is optional. You can, if you like, secure the opposite long edge of the webbing by sewing a straight stitch along its length. This makes it very strong, but it is not likely that it is needed since the only job of the webbing is to provide reinforcement for the snaps, so the choice is yours. Polypropylene webbing comes in a variety of colors and is cheap, but it is not very UV resistant. However, it will not be exposed to the sun, so it's a great choice for covers where a snap reinforcement is used on the inside of the cover. We have opted to install a webbing tab with snaps for the opposite side, so we do not need the webbing installed on the inside for snap reinforcement in the fabric. If you want to do that, you can repeat the process for this side. For us, we will simply sew the binding on the side without the webbing. We will sew closed one side of the cover. Fold the fabric wrong side out along the length of the cover. Sew the end shut following the general angle of the grab rail end. Be sure to reverse your stitches at the beginning and the end to lock the stitch in place. Here's what it looks like right side out. Now is the time to measure the length and confirm that it is correct. It is likely that you will have too much fabric by a few inches, so cut the end so it's only a ½ inch longer than your desired finished length. The ½ inch will be used to sew up the other end, just as we did in the last step. Next, measure and mark on the cover the location for each snap. We wrote these measurements out on paper when we were taking measurements off the boat. We're using a soapstone pencil to mark the edge of the fabric where each snap location belongs. We will use the Sairlite edge hot knife and cut a polyester webbing to size to make webbing straps with snaps. The webbing is cut to about 4 inches in length. Using the Sairlite edge hot knife will seal the ends of the webbing and keep it from unraveling. We will use the press and snap tool to set each snap in place. Onto the webbing we will install the snap button and the socket. Fold the end of the webbing back onto itself by almost an inch. No need to sew, the snap will hold the fold in place. Depress the lever of the press and snap tool and it punches a hole and sets the snap all in one step. Check to be sure the snap is set well by rolling the socket around. If it does not roll, then it is set well. If it does, then adjust the pressure of the tool using the black knurled knob on the end of the tool to set the pressure higher. On the cover's opposite side, we will install a stud and an eyelet snap. So we have switched up the dies for the press and snap tool. The process is the same here. We will position this snap at each mark we made and install it so it goes through the cover and the webbing we used for reinforcement. Be sure the stud is installed on the outside surface of the cover. Continue this process for each snap position. Sairlite carries a number of other snap installation tools. Check out the Sairlite website for more information about those other tools. We will snap the webbing straps with button and socket snap onto the studs that we just installed. We are doing this now only to mark the webbing along the bottom edge with a pen or pencil. After this is done, remove them and prepare to sew them on the opposite side. Position the webbing snap strap directly across from each snap stud on the underside of the cover with the socket facing up. We will sew them in place so the line we marked on the webbing is flush with the edge of the handrail cover. A time production saver is to sew down the length of the cover, stopping and securing a webbing strap at the appropriate location, as shown in this video. If you'd like, you can cut away any extra webbing with a hot knife. Just be sure to protect the actual Sunbrella cover as we are showing here. Our grab rail cover is done and ready to be installed on the boat. Before we show that, let's go over the materials list and the tools that were used to make this cover. Pick your favorite Sunbrella marine grade fabric at Sairlite. We highly recommend the Sairlite Ultra Feed sewing machines for projects like this. We were using the Sairlite Ultrafeed LS1 sewing machine in this video. If your boat has wooden handrails, you owe it to yourself to make these covers, which look great and will save you a plethora of refinishing man-hours. For more free videos like this, be sure to check out the Sairlite website or subscribe to the Sairlite YouTube channel. It's your loyal patronage to Sairlite that makes these free videos available. Thanks for your loyal support. I'm Eric Grant, and from all of us here at Sairlite, thanks for watching.